week how important social emotional learning is and the research behind social emotional learning and why it's so important to us as APOLs to be implementing this year. And we are incredibly fortunate to have our guest speaker today, who came all the way here from Hawaii. And she is the West Coast ambassador for the Choose Love program. So Kelly, in case I forget to tell you many times over, thank you so much for coming today. But Kelly O'Shero is here to present the program to you and answer your questions and just get the parents on board with this wonderful social emotional program that we're starting today. So please help me welcome Kelly O'Shero.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very appreciative of all of you, the parents who bring our wonderful children into the school, and they're the ones that we're really all here for today. So you folks do all the work with them, really, and we're just here to help you along as much as possible. Again, my name is Kelly O'Shero, and I come from Hawaii. I'm the Hawaii ambassador as well as the West Coast ambassador, and I wanted to introduce Kim Harrison. Kim, if you can stand. She is our new California ambassador for the Choose Love program. So she's going to be available to you folks as well to answer all the questions that your school and you folks have for the Choose Love program in the future. So to start off the presentation, I have a message for you from the founder of our program. It's a little video, and it's a message to explain to you a little bit about our program directly from the founder and president of the Choose Love program. So I'm going to sit down while you folks watch this video.
Love those moves. Awesome, Jess. It is August 24th, 2012. And Jess has brand new soccer shoes.
So prior to 12/14/2012, I was a single mom with 2 boys. It was kind of an unremarkable life. It was such a great life. You know, I just wanted to be a mom, and I just wanted to be with my kids.
Run the ball to me.
One day, you're a mom with 2 boys, one boy riding in a car seat in the back seat. So one morning I'm holding hands with my 6-year-old in his car seat, and the next thing that I know, there is no 6-year-old. He's been murdered. So I had come home for the first time, and I was getting Jesse's clothes for the funeral, and I walked through the kitchen on my way out, and I noticed these 3 words that Jesse had written on the kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died. He wrote, "Nurturing, healing, love." These words were a message of comfort for his family and friends, and inspiration for the world. It's where we needed to turn, and I knew I'd be spending the rest of my life spreading this message. I didn't have to create a solution. There was one available, and it's called social emotional learning. And social emotional learning proactively prevents violence. I believe that Jesse is a part of this organization. I actually believe that he's leading it. And all I have to do is just be present. I live with a tremendous dichotomy in my life every single day. It's never out of my mind why I am leading a worldwide movement to choose love. It's because my 6-year-old son was shot in his first grade classroom alongside 19 of his classmates in one of the worst mass murders in U.S. history. I feel like I meet Jesse a lot in schools. I'll look into a child's eyes and I'll see Jesse looking back at me. And how blessed am I? And how grateful I am that my purpose is spreading a message of choosing love and given to me by my 6-year-old son.
So everything that I say today, I say on behalf of Scarlett, since she couldn't be here herself. She's an amazing woman. We are all connected. We are neurobiologically wired for connection. And connection is love. Connection is love. So the mission of our organization is to ensure that all children have access to social emotional learning in the classroom and to facilitate this teaching through schools, families, and communities. So what is social emotional learning? Social emotional learning is the process, it is the process through which individuals learn the tools and skills necessary to become socially and emotionally adept, okay? And we look at this as self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. These are the outcomes that we're looking for to have in our children, okay? So this is, through our program, what we are looking to teach. These are the skills and tools. These are the what we call core competencies. Why is it so important? Why is social emotional learning so important? Let's look at some of the issues that we're facing in society today. 49.5% of our college-bound youth will have had a diagnosable mental illness by the time they're age 18. 49.5%, that's nearly half. The majority of this will have been anxiety, and the average onset age of anxiety is 6 years old. Most of these kids will not receive treatment, okay? We also have a lot of trauma going into our schools. There was a study called the ACEs study that was done 20 years ago that said that 1 in 5 kids come into school with some sort of trauma. And recently this study was redone and it was up to 50%. 50% of kids come into school. And keep in mind that trauma can be anywhere, anything from yelling and screaming in the home to the worst possible trauma you can imagine, okay? And it's things like this mental health and anxiety and trauma that lead to all of the other sorts of issues that we're seeing in society today: bullying, suicide, substance abuse, violence. So let's take a closer look at those. Bullying has increased 21% since we've begun tracking it in 2003. And this is not including cyberbullying, which we don't even have a handle on. Okay, and we all know about, we read about it every day in the papers, right? All of the bullying that's going on. There are more suicides in the US, right, than murders. In my home state of Hawaii, suicide is the leading cause of death among our youth. It's a very sad statistic, something that we're trying to work on. And this is despite our best efforts, okay? It's not like we're not out there trying to fix these things. Substance abuse, it's skyrocketing. Again, despite our best efforts. Last year, there were more deaths due to substance abuse in the United States than there were car accidents. More deaths due to substance abuse than car accidents in the United States. And then, of course, we are all very aware of the violence that's going on in schools these days. Since Sandy Hook Elementary School, there's been one school-related shooting a week. One school-related shooting a week. This has become our new normal. This just can't continue. And I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer of the morning. I just want to talk about what the issues are to let you know why social emotional learning is so important. Because there is a solution, and the solution is social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is the most proactive, preventative mental health initiative there is. It is the best way to cultivate a safe and supportive culture and climate in our schools. There's a lot of talk nowadays, especially since the Parkland shooting, about safety in our schools. And we talk about external safety measures, single point entry, bulletproof glass, arming or not arming teachers, right? And external safety measures are important, but what social emotional learning gets to is the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem, which is internal safety, right? Why does the shooter want to come back and hurt people, right? What is the root cause of the problem? Disconnection, isolation, right? Social emotional learning teaches connection. It teaches relationships. It builds a culture and a climate of caring, connection, love in our schools. If kids care about each other, they're not going to want to hurt each other. And that's what social emotional learning does. Here are the statistics based on decades of research of what social emotional learning can bring to your schools. 11% improvement in academic performance, an increase in graduation rates, a decrease in emotional distress, better classroom and school climate, increased positive relationships and connection, less stress and anxiety, less behavioral issues, less bullying. Long-term studies show increased health and well-being, reduced substance abuse, reduced mental illness, less incarceration, less violence and anger, even lowered divorce rates. I could have used it. Yeah. Well, that's another story. That's another. Economically, there's an $11 return on every $1 that we spend on social emotional learning economically, right? Think about our opioid addiction right now. We're spending billions of dollars on opioids right now, trying to prevent them or trying to take care of an issue that if we had spent that money taking care of the issue in advance, trying to prevent it, right? Building social emotional learning and teaching skills and tools before the problem happened, right? Then think about how much money we would save in society if we were trying to tackle these issues before they happen. So research shows that there's an $11 return to the community for every dollar spent on social emotional learning. So, with social emotional learning, our mission is to ensure that every child has access to it. And in order to achieve our mission, we developed the Choose Love Enrichment Program, which is a free social emotional learning program that teaches kids how to choose love in any circumstance. And what do we mean by choose love? What do we mean by choose love? Well, we mean to have the courage to be grateful even when things aren't easy. We mean to have the courage to forgive even when the person who hurt you isn't sorry. And we mean to have the compassion to step outside of your own pain and busyness to help another person. These are the things of choosing love. And the empowering lesson is that it's a choice. Choose love. You see, we can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond, and we can always respond with love. We can always respond with love. This is the foundation upon which our organization is built, right? We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond, and we can always respond with love. If all the kids left with this in their hearts, we'll have done our job. So, Scarlett mentioned the very sad story of what happened in Sandy Hook Elementary when 20 kids, including her Jessie, and 6 administrators were killed in the worst mass shooting in U.S. history on December 12, 2014. And on that day, she asked herself, as many of you probably did, how could something like this happen? How could something like this happen? And she decided that it all started with an angry thought. An angry thought in Adam Lanza, who was the shooter, in Adam Lanza's head. And you know, we all have 50 to 70,000 thoughts that go through our heads on a daily basis. Did you know that? That's a fact. And of those thoughts, about 70% are negative, non-productive thoughts. And 90% are repetitive. Okay? And there's a thing called the cognitive triangle. And the cognitive triangle says that we have thoughts that become feelings that create behaviors that reinforce our thoughts. So we have these negative feelings that are reinforced and repetitive, and they're going around and around and around in our head. This can't be good, right? But Scarlett thought, a thought can be changed, right? So people were asking her after Jessie died, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? And so at Jessie's funeral, she got up on the podium and she said, there is something that you can all do for me. You can go out when you leave here today and you can change one angry thought into a loving thought. One angry thought into a loving thought. And after the funeral, she began getting emails and text messages and phone calls from people who said that they had done exactly what she had asked and that their lives were changing profoundly from having done this. And they were telling her stories about how people in their offices were saying, what's gotten into you? You know, I mean, you're acting so caring all of a sudden. This is so different, you know, and this is so wonderful. And so they were not only getting better responses from people, but they were changing the lives of people around them. And those people were happier. And so this is called the ripple effect, right? We each influence 3,000 people by the way we respond, because we respond to somebody and they respond to their people around them who respond to the people around them. And so this is the beginning of the Choose Love movement. She realized she was on to something. And then she took this idea out to educators and it just blew up. So let me introduce you to Jessie. This is Jessie's first grade picture. And to tell you a little bit about Jessie, or all I really need to tell you about Jessie to know him, is that he was born 11 pounds. 11 pounds. And Scarlett tells a story about Jess. He was obviously a C-section. And so when she went to go down the hallway to look into the nursery to visit him the first day, she saw all these nurses and aides around this bassinet. And they were all oohing and awing, you know, and she said, what's going on? And they said, there's this enormous baby. And he's trying to crawl out of his bassinet. And she said, that's my Jessie. So that's how Jessie was. That was his personality. That would just explain who he was going to be. He used to enter a room and say, here's Jessie. So he was just that kind of kid. He loved two things more than anything in life. He loved army men and he loved rubber ducks. And when she was doing this foundation, she knew she had to do something to do with Jessie, and so she said, Army men, she knew she was going to take it out to educators and to school. She said, Army men, rubber ducks, Army men, rubber ducks. She said, no, we better go with rubber ducks. So our emblem is rubber ducks inside of a heart. So one of the main components of our program is courage, and Jessie had a lot of courage. On that day, during Sandy Hook, he saved 9 of his classmates' lives. When the shooter's gun jammed, Jessie told a group of kids who were on the side, he shouted to them, run. And so they ran, and their lives were saved. And then Jessie was shot. And for that, he received a hero's funeral that's reserved for only heads of state and returning war heroes, because in fact, his classroom was a war zone that day. The other thing that Jessie brings to the program is his message of nurturing, healing, love. And as you can see, it's phonetically written. He was only 6.5 years old, so he was just learning to read and write. So it's really, as Scarlett was saying in the message that you got from her, it was a profound message meant to be shared with the world, clearly. And I get choked up whenever I think about it, because it's just such a passionate, remarkable message from a young child. And she took this message to a professor called Dr. Chris Cook at the Western Connecticut State University, and she asked him, can you tell me if there's any deeper meaning with these 3 words? And so he researched these 3 words and came back to her and said, these 3 words are in the definition of compassion in all cultures, which is pretty remarkable. And he told her, he's the one who told her about social emotional learning. And he said, social emotional learning is a way that you can take this message out to the world and out to educators. And that's when she decided, that's it. I'm going to develop a curriculum around these 3 words, and we're going to do social emotional learning, and that's how we're going to spread the message of choosing love. And so she and Dr. Cook decided that they were going to create a formula for choosing love using Jessie's courage and these words. And so they came up with a formula for choosing love. And it begins with courage, because everything begins with courage. Everything that we do requires courage. Nurturing, they say, is like kindness and gratitude. Healing is forgiveness, and love is compassion in action. So courage plus gratitude plus forgiveness plus compassion in action equals choosing love. And this formula, this profound formula, as it turns out, because we've used it now, and it is very profound in this order, when you use it in your life, children, adults, prisoners we've used it with, is amazing, and it works. Is the foundation for the curriculum that your kids will be using or are using. So here is the Choose Love Enrichment Program, written by educators for educators. It includes positive psychology, mindfulness, neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and obviously these character values that I've just shared with you. It meets Common Core values. It's aligned with the ASCA, which is the counselors' behavioral standards and school counselors, and it aligns with the CASEL, which was the social emotional learning core competencies. It aligns with all of this. Mindfulness, as I said, every lesson has a focused awareness component, where when the kids come into the lesson, the first thing they do is they do a mindfulness peace, where they focus, they take the time to focus in and let go of everything around them so that all those traumas and anxieties go away and they become present and in the moment. Emotional intelligence, they practice and learn and work to be able to express their emotions, and they learn broader vocabulary. So they're not just angry, but are you frustrated? Are you worried? Are you overwhelmed? Are you terrified, right? They learn to express their emotions below the surface of the initial feelings that they're having. Positive psychology. We teach positive psychology by doing positive affirmations with the kids. So, for example, here's a positive affirmation by some second graders. I am brave. I stand up for people who need my help. Gratitude helps me stay strong. I am ready to be courageous. I am ready to be kind. I am ready to stand up for my friends. I am ready to stand up for my little brother. That's a second grader. That's a positive affirmation. So we're helping them move negative thoughts into positive thoughts. Here's another one. I am brave. I can make good choices. I can stand up for people and me. So there are these I am and I have. I am thankful for the things that I have. I am kind to other people. I am strong. I will stand up for the people in need. I am brave. I use gratitude to learn and be healthy. Gratitude helps me to be brave. This is what the kids are learning in the classroom right now, these positive affirmations. We also have a neuroscience component where the kids learn how their brains are working and why they become angry and what happens, what neurochemicals are released. And so they understand what's happening in their brain, how to calm their brain down so that they can make a responsible choice rather than let it go into their reactive space in their brain. And we make it simple for them. We tell them to leave the lizard, which is their reptilian brain, nudge the numbat, which is a mammal in Australia, which is their mammalian brain, and hug the human, which is their prefrontal cortex, which is their human primate brain. The kids completely get it, and they love it. And you'll hear them come home and say, Mom, you gotta hug your human. Mom, you're being a numbat. Okay, they get it, and you'll hear them use this language once they get into it. And you'll be like, what are you talking about? And so it's important for you folks to know what this languaging means, because they're going to use it on you. They're going to say, Mom, take a brave breath. And that means they want you to calm down, okay? And they're usually right. And soon we will be coming out with a Choose Love at Home program, which is probably within a month. And the Choose Love at Home program is a program for you folks that will be online, and it will teach you the tools and skills that the kids are learning at home. It's a video-based, so you'll just go onto our website and you can download a series of videos that teach you the neuroscience. It will teach you all the character values. They're short little videos. They're kind of cute and funny. And so we will let your school know when it's ready, and then you folks can go online and you can watch the videos at your leisure. Maybe you want to form a parent group that watches them and has a discussion here at the school. It's up to you how you utilize them, but they're going to be great. So I'm going to show you a video now of some kids and teachers at a school expressing to you what they've learned about the 4 character values at their school.
My experience with Choose Love has been positive. The students in the classroom really enjoy the lessons. They enjoy learning the new strategies that are associated with courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion in action. And we're seeing the benefits in the classroom, the way they treat each other most of the time.
We have this program called Choose Love, and we've learned that when we are frightened or we're feeling like we can't do something, then there's this thing called brave breath. So we put our hand on our heart and our hand on our stomach, and then we breathe and close our eyes. And it helps us calm down when we're feeling scared or frightened to do something. And also just like, for me, like keeping positive words in my body will help me stay calm and help me relax. I think courage is doing the right thing when no one's looking. I'm thinking a person can show courage by, like, maybe if someone's bullying them or if someone's bullying their friends, they could stand up to that person and say, hey, that's not okay. You need to stop. I know how to do breathe breaths and breathe calmly and not think of anything negative. Courage is when you're brave and you do the right thing.
Some of the benefits we've experienced are just our behavior, a shift in behavior, a shift in our thinking, being aware of making good choices and choosing love. So trying to take some emotions we may feel and shift them in a positive direction. So it's benefited the kids, it's benefited the staff, we've even implemented it with parents, so it's benefited the parents also. Me specifically, it's impacted me as a teacher, trying to manage my impulsivity a little and take those brave breaths and take a minute and calm my body. And it's influenced me outside of school also, because I found myself thinking of all the things I'm teaching and learning and applying them to my own life and making sure that I'm choosing love as much as possible.
Gratitude, it like gives you hope sometimes, and and that helps me when I'm in trouble. I think being grateful can help you when things that are difficult, is because maybe you're on a really hard math test and you can think about something that you're thankful for, and it'll calm you down and you can focus on it. Maybe you can do better on the test. If things are difficult, you can just tell yourself, like, I have a good life, I have good family, I have a nice family, I have nice friends, and I have everything that I need. To like be like thankful for something, like when you're having a hard time, just like showing gratitude is like remember like when you are like remember the thing that you could be thankful for instead of this one thing that you are not thankful for.
I think it's translated into benefiting them because they respond better and they understand where I'm coming from and what vehicle we're looking at. So especially the forgiveness part, because some of them come from lives that are challenging, and so being able to leave those challenges outside of the classroom, it gives me an opportunity to talk to them that you need to forgive yourself before you walk into class. So the anger sometimes stays out of class that they're carrying from what happened at home or other things that are outside of our control.
I think forgiveness is letting it go. If you're just going to be angry, that's not doing forgiveness. It's like you're just like, stop. Like, it made you angry and you're like, okay, you can say sorry, and it's just bothering you the whole day. That's not letting it go. It helps you choose love instead of anger, and it helps you choose good instead of hate, because it kind of like gets to you, like I said, like it's like something in your heart that you feel like I have to let out, that you have to let out. And then once you forgive, it goes out, so it helps you by kind of giving you that freeness that you didn't have before you forgive. I say it's don't choose revenge, choose forgiveness. It helps me by calming down and not letting anger get to my thoughts.
My kids this year have also been really excited about the compassion in action, because it's not only just showing compassion, but then what are you going to do and how do you do that? So that's been motivating for them to kind of put that concept into use.
I think compassion is empathy. Empathy is understanding how someone else feels, and and reacting to it in a positive way. The benefits of compassion is that you have a good time and you feel that good feeling in you, and then you try to everyone else, when you do it to someone else, they start to feel compassion in them, and it keeps spreading. Well, compassion and action? Well, I think it has two parts. First, the compassion, when it's taking yourself into someone else's shoes and trying to feel how they feel. And then in action, when you're showing that in action and not expecting anything else back.
I would definitely recommend this program to any other school. I think it's important that kids, and even us as adults, that we're thinking about these things and we're taking them in, and students need to learn this more than ever, because right now there's such a push on academics, math and reading, that we're forgetting that these are going to be the people that are running this place and the time to come. So we need to make sure that they have the skill set and they learn these different traits and qualities so they can apply it to their lives and be better people and make the world a better place.
I would definitely recommend other schools and institutions select Choose Love because it's personal and it's an easy curriculum to integrate within what you're already doing, and it's something that's so important for the kids because they have to learn how to express themselves and how to overcome these challenges that they have. And even if we think some of the challenges are small, to them they're big, and if they don't have a vehicle to get past them, they tend to perseverate over it and not be able to get past it and learn. So the Choose Love gives them that vehicle so that they can learn.
Yes. Am I on? Oh, there we go. Thank you. So again, this is the formula. And so our definition in the program of courage is the willingness and ability to walk through obstacles despite feeling embarrassment, fear, reluctance, or uncertainty. So this is a K through 12 program, and we have the same definition all the way through for courage for all of the kids. They all have this same definition of courage that they use, no matter what grade level they're at. And these are some of the benefits of courage. When we teach courage, by the way, we define the difference for them between large acts of courage. So, for example, what Jesse did and what some other heroes, like what a firefighter does, what our soldiers do, and small acts of courage. And we focus on the small acts of courage. Things like telling the truth. Things like, coming to school and learning and having the courage to learn. Things like being an upstander in school. An upstander is someone who stands up for themselves or for others when others turn their heads when something is going on. So we talk about the small acts of courage and how they can be courageous on a daily basis. These are the benefits of courage. Courage is confidence, creates a sense of leadership, and enables students to be upstandards. It makes us feel good. It assists us in mastering emotions. It empowers us to accomplish things and make good choices. It helps us overcome our fears. It helps us, it supports us in finding balance, and it helps us to counter bullying. Research shows that if you're able to stand up to your bully for 10 seconds, that bully will back down. So we help to empower the kids, right, to be courageous, and they love this. We teach them in courage a brave breath. You may have heard your kids come home and talk about their brave breath by now, something that calms them down so that they can get in the state of mind to be courageous. Okay, we teach them a brave pose. You may have seen me doing this before I spoke, opening up your body, and they create their own brave poses, you know, their own super poses, as opposed to, you know, being like this. Getting in a position where you feel courageous. They love their brave poses. We teach them a rubric to help them learn to cooperate, to listen. All of this is part of becoming courageous. And they like the idea that they can be courageous. No one ever told them that they were courageous human beings. Gratitude. As students learn that gratitude is mindful thankfulness and the ability to be thankful even when things in life are challenging, especially when things in life are challenging. That they can practice gratitude. When you practice gratitude, you feel thankful and want to share that feeling with others. So it's not just about saying thank you, but it's about gratitude is like the great mind shifter, right? Shifting your thoughts from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And gratitude, you can only have one thought at a time. Did you know that? You can only have one thought. So all those 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day you have, they're going through your head, one single file. Okay, and so yes, we have a lot of negative thoughts, but if you change them to positive thoughts, you can only have that positive thought one at a time. So you might go negative, positive, negative, okay, but you can change it to positive. And so we help them create the habit of thinking positively. Okay, and it takes something like 66 days to create a habit. And so by doing gratitude journals and helping them to create habits of gratefulness, positive affirmations, etc., we're helping them to become positive thinkers. And these are all the benefits of being grateful. And you get better sleep. You become more optimistic, more resilient, less sick, better management as a career, more social, kinder, and all of them lead to happiness. And studies have been done with all sorts of people. What is the most important thing in people's lives? What do most people want out of their lives? Happiness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness means choosing to let go of anger and resentment toward yourself or someone else, to surrender thoughts of revenge, and to move forward with your personal power intact. Okay? When we first started this program, many people said, forgiveness? Really? Isn't that a little lofty for kids? Kids love the forgiveness part of our program. I think it's a little lofty for adults. A lot of us have a little problem with forgiveness. Okay, but the kids love forgiveness. We had Scarlett and I went out and we did a presentation once where we had a room full of kids, and we asked them each to come up at the end and talk about Choose Love and what was their favorite part of the Choose Love program. And I would say about 70% of them said forgiveness. Kids really like forgiveness. They have a lot of problems with their peers, fighting back and forth. And this idea that they could have the power, they could empower themselves to let go of the anger that they held toward their friends, they really like that. They also have issues with divorced parents, and forgiveness really helps that. Excuse me. Having a little tickle in my throat. Scarlett is our best example of forgiveness. Scarlett forgave Adam Lanza, the shooter. And she talks about Adam being like, when she was angry with him at first, it was like she was connected to him by an umbilical cord. And she had this umbilical cord, and at the other end was Adam Lanza. And she, through this umbilical cord, went all of her personal power over to Adam Lanza. And it was like dragging him along wherever she went. And she was trying to think, how am I going to get rid of this? And what it was she took a pair of scissors and she cut that cord. She cut that cord, and all of her personal power came back to her. All of it just came rushing back to her. So forgiveness is those pair of scissors cutting that cord to anger, and all of the power coming back to you. So forgiveness is about you. It's about you getting your personal power back, releasing the poison, right? It doesn't mean that what Adam Lanza did is okay. It will never be okay, right? It doesn't mean that it's okay necessarily for what the person did. It doesn't mean that there's no accountability. It doesn't mean that he shouldn't be held accountable. And in his case, it didn't matter. He died, right? And sometimes you won't be able to have accountability in his case, right? It just means that you're taking your personal power back. That's what it means. So all of that gets off of your shoulders. So with the kids, they talk about letting go. Like that one girl said, that's not letting go, right? She said, when you walk around going, right? That's not letting go, right? You gotta let it go. That's what forgiveness is in our program. And look what the benefits are of forgiveness. Healthier relationships. And relationships are what lead to happiness. Greater physical and psychological well-being. Less anger, less anxiety, stress, and hostility, lower blood pressure, fewer symptoms of depression, stronger immune system. And look at this. Extends your lifespan. How good is that, right? It extends your lifespan. So who wouldn't want to forgive? And the final component in our program is compassion in action. Compassion in action is understanding of a problem or the suffering of another, which is empathy, and acting to solve it, solve the problem or alleviate the suffering. So it's not just having empathy, but it's acting on it. Okay? Because if you sit in empathy, right, you're just feeling the pain. You can't sit in there for too long, or you're just going to be feeling the pain. It's acting on it and helping that person. Excuse me, here's another way of putting it. Compassion has two components. The first is empathy, which means putting yourself in someone else's shoes, trying to feel what this person feels. And the second is action, which means helping someone in need and performing acts of kindness without expecting anything in return. And here are the benefits of that. Giving makes us feel happy, excuse me, releases oxytocin, which is a good chemical, right? Dopamine and serotonin, promotes cooperation, cultivates social connection, evokes gratitude. Giving is contagious. It counteracts depression. It reduces and relieves stress and mentally. So, you know, when you go to, if you ever have gone or suffered depression and you go to your psychiatrist or your psychologist, a lot of times they'll tell you to serve, to go out and do something in your community and help other people, because that is what helps. I mean, if you could bottle service or bottle compassion and action as a pill, you know, you would make a lot of money off of it. And look at this, it adds years to your life, right? If it was, I mean, if you choose love, you're going to live forever, right? So I'm going to show you a video, I think now, of some parents, because you folks are parents, and I want you to see how parents feel about the Choose Love program.
It's all part of us. We can all choose love. It'll mend you up.
I see my son bringing a lot of patience and thoughtfulness from Choose Love. You know, when he brings a at home, it's more of a tool instead of following a program. He kind of will remind me to kind of stop and think things through. Sometimes when I just react and I go, blah, 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 he'll say, I think you're just upset and it's making me upset, you know, instead of just chomping back at me, you know, how sometimes that happens between a parent and a child. He will sort of stop and go, I see you overreacting, you know, as much as a 6-year-old can say, but he really does put that into my head. And I remember the other day that happened, and I said, you're right, I need to nudge the gun back, is actually what I said. And I said, I think that I just kind of overreacted and let's start over. Yeah.
I've definitely seen an attitude adjustment in my child since the Choose Love program has been initiated at her school. Definitely for Owen, I think the compassion in action has most impacted her. Every time someone's in trouble or someone's hurt or someone's grieving, she is the first to go to them and to offer help or just a hand on the shoulder or a hug or whatever it is. And I've never seen her do that before. And it's just amazing that our kids are that thoughtful of other people.
So my son was in the Choose Love program for 2 years, and he is now in 7th grade at an intermediate school. And at this school, a couple weeks ago, we discovered that he was being cyberbullied. And when we confronted him about it, he was like, I know, that guy, I've never even spoken to him before. And, I don't care, Mom, just delete it. I'm going, no, this needs to be blah, blah, blah. And right then and there, my son never is combative towards us. And just to see that he was really caring about the other kid first, I said, you know what, fine. Do you mind if I reach out to the kid and talk to him? Something's got to be done on our end. And he's like, that's fine, but do not get him in trouble. Fine. I went about it, texting this kid that had just, slaughtered my son online. And lo and behold, the kid calls, as I had gently asked. And we talked it out. This 8th grader and I, that at the end of it was apologizing. He didn't understand. He was being bullied at school too. And at the end of it, it's just like, hey dude, you've got my number. Call if you need it. For my son, again, he was like, you see, he's not a bad guy, is he? And that was eye-opening for both of us because we are here hounding this kid, our son, to, we're gonna get it done. And he's like, hey, you're talking about hurting someone else's feelings. So with that, like I said, I did want to just piggyback off of this because this basically sums up, my son that I'm always questioning, and I know I attribute it to Choose Love. So although we can't always choose what happens to us, we can always choose how to respond. You just learn so much from kids. Children can learn to choose a loving thought over an angry one. When a child realizes that they have the power to positively impact themselves, as well as those around them, it is empowering and perpetuates their positive actions and interactions. We learned that from our kid through Choose Love. So, happy Pride, as I say. But, really great stuff.
Well, a tangible from Choose Love I actually saw the other day. I was going through my son's folder and he had a little note, just a half-sheet paper folded in half with a little heart drawn on it. And it had his name on it, and then it was just the picture of the heart and then love and then the name of another student. And I asked him about it and I said, what is this from? And he said, oh, it's from Choose Love. And I said, what was it for? He said it was the kindness, it was a kindness challenge, I think. And they had to do 50 acts of kindness in a week. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. What did you do? And that led to a discussion about the different ways that they were showing kindness to each other throughout the week, which I thought was a really interesting idea. Like, you know, what if we did that as adults?
Kira's brought into the house, I think, a sense of courage, for one thing. She's a little bit of a timid child, and I think she's found a way to think about what she's doing and find the strength in this to do things that she might not have done before.
Yeah, so my daughter wants to reach out to kids more in her class. So she notices they're having a bad day or are new to the school and might not have immediate friends. She also comes home and she tells me about new kids. They're having new kids really recently, and so she's reached out to them at lunch or during her food break. So that's something different because she always wants to hang out with her own friends generally. And then my son tends to see also kind of the same thing as someone's having a bad day. He wants to bring them to our house. That's been fun. But it's just nice to see them seeing kids that might be hurting or recognizing behavior that's not as appropriate and then responding in kind to that.
Absolutely. Choose Love has changed my behavior in a variety of ways. I feel that this program, this movement, really is creating a ripple effect. So my children are exposed to loving kindness in our home, and then they're exposed to loving kindness at school, and they're surrounded by people, educators, teachers, and their classmates at school and at home who are all in on this incredible movement. And so when they come back and they've been around that energy all day when they're at school, and they get more of that at home, and they share that energy with us, and then we, as parents, share that with our friends and the other people that we interact with in the world, we are creating a ripple effect of loving kindness that I believe truly has the ability to heal this world.
It's all part of us. We can all choose love.
Oops. So there's another message. Jesse leaves a lot of messages. If you ever read Scarlett's book, it talks about the different messages that Jesse left for them. But one of the messages he left was one for his older brother on his desk. And this is the message. And his older brother was 12 years old at the time. And JT is not like Jesse. JT is sort of more introverted and a little shy. And Jesse left this message for him. And it was folded up on his desk, and it said, "Have a lot of fun." And so we like to add this into our program, that we basically say there's two really important things in life, and that is to choose love and to have a lot of fun. And so this is another motto that we carry with us, is to always remember to have a lot of fun. And so we hope that our program is a lot of fun for the kids as well. So this is our information. We welcome you to join the Choose Love movement. We are on Facebook. This is our website. We're on YouTube. And this is my information. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to email me. The school has all the information as well. And I thank you so much for your attention and for having me here today. Thank you. Absolutely.
So, questions? Anybody? Sure.
Hi, I just have a question about your program in general.
Yes.
A lot of it seems very aligned with Catholic school, Christian teachings, and I'm just curious how many secular schools do you see adopting it, or is it mostly religious or secular? What's the balance?
Our program is secular. It is about love, which is universal. And so many, like in our state, In Hawaii, we have over 40 schools, public schools, who use the program. We are in all 50 states and 65 countries, and so we have public schools all across the nation who are using our program. Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Can you talk about, is the curriculum any different between what you teach to the younger grades versus what would be taught to junior high level children?
Yes, it is age appropriate, so it gets a little more difficult as it gets older. So the definitions remain the same throughout, and they all learn, for example, certain things, like they all learn the diaphragmatic breathing, the brave breath, the neuroscience. The little children begin to learn the neuroscience. They learn a hand model that they use to help them teach it. And then as they get older, for example, then they'll learn more about the neurochemicals. They'll delve more into the actual science of the neuroscience. So each grade level is a step up in the program, and they'll learn more difficult, but they're all age appropriate. Yes.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Thank you.
A couple questions. Has she taken it to Washington? I mean, it'd be amazing. My dream is like put it in all the schools in the whole country. Like we need this. You know?
She has written a bill, actually, which stalled and didn't go through. But she's also spoken on to the National Education Board on Safety. She's spoken before Betsy DeVos, and she has spoken to her personally. She's gone into her office several times. She went during the Obama years, she met with them. So she's tried to take it, she goes top down and bottom up. She's constantly working round the clock from both angles. So it's grassroots and it's also top bottom. She's working now at sort of at the governor level, because there's a safety commission. Every school or at the governor's level, they're working on safety right now. And so what she was able to do was get the entire state of New Hampshire on board through the governor of New Hampshire. So Governor Sununu in New Hampshire has adopted Choose Love as their program for their safety initiative. And so we're in the entire state of New Hampshire now. And so we're pushing to do that now at the government level from the governor's offices. So that's our latest push.
Awesome. That's amazing. One other question. So I'm actually a psychotherapist. I work with trauma, and one of the things with the anger, I just wanted to know, in the program, is there some validation, some of the freedom from getting out of those feelings? Is that, it's normal to be angry. It's normal to be confused. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. Like this whole range of 50, 60 emotions are all normal.
Yes.
And so I just didn't hear a lot of that in your presentation, that, that their feelings are normal.
Yes.
Of course you feel that way.
Absolutely.
That's part of the freedom, is validation that everybody feels this way. It's
Yes.
not bad, And we do get to take the next level and choose love, but we have to, acknowledge and validate the feelings first.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. We definitely tell the kids, this is great. This is okay to feel this way. We all feel this way. There's nothing wrong with anger. Anger is a good feeling. Anger is necessary. But we need to temper that with, calming down, getting to that, so that we don't take our anger out on other people. Right, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You mentioned the parent portal. Is there a way on that portal to follow along what your kids are learning on a weekly basis?
There isn't, because every school is different, And because the Jessie Lewis Choose Love movement is for everyone out there who's doing the program in all 50 states and 60 countries, that would be up to your individual school. So your individual school will need to, in their newsletter, or somehow let you know what they're doing and where they're at in the program, because every school does it differently. Every school starts at a different time, so they're all in their lessons at a different time. Mm-hmm.
But Kelly, they can download the curriculum, right, if they register?
Anybody can download the curriculum itself. It's free. It's completely at no cost.
So if you register on the site, you could download the curriculum for your child's grade and at least look at the curriculum.
Absolutely.
You won't know exactly where they are in the curriculum, but you can look at it.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Diana.
This might be more for Mr. Mayor, but I'm a TK parent, and you said this was a K through 12 program?
Yes, it is.
Will they be implementing anything in
TK's doing it.
They are, okay.
Pre-K, I'm sorry. It is a pre-K through 12.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
My bad.
It's okay, TK did their big breaths yesterday. So if you're a TK parent, they learned about big breaths yesterday. Anybody else?
I think this is just, I don't want to start breaking, but how often do our kids get this? Do they get it every day? Is it once a week? Like, what's the curriculum for us?
Right now, everybody's getting it once a week. They're getting it Tuesday morning before we go to Mass. That's why we changed our Mass to 8:30, because we wanted to all teach at the same time. So Tuesday mornings between 8 and 8:20, they're getting a quick lesson. And then in junior high, the religion teachers reinforcing the lesson throughout the week. And the homeroom teachers, of course, can go back to the lessons anytime they want, TK through 5. But consistently, Tuesday mornings.
Right. So the idea of the program is that the lessons themselves take place once a week, and then the teachers are reinforcing the lessons throughout the week and constantly using the language of the lesson. So for example, courage. Everyone is hopefully using the idea of courage all the time. And so for example, when they're doing social studies, hopefully, you know, if something comes up in social studies where someone is talking about someone courageous, they're saying, oh, and here's, you know, a courageous leader or whatever, and in English, they might do haikus on courage, for example. So they're learning to integrate the program, and I'm going to talk to the teachers about this today, how to integrate the program into their normal lessons.
So the teachers are just learning the program as well. So they're really going through week by week as well. But Kelly is staying with us this morning to meet with the teachers, so she'll be able to give them a lot of support. Any other questions? Well, Kelly, I can't thank you enough, all the way from Hawaii. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just, you know, to the parents, go on, download the curriculum, go on and look. Please, you know, when you're talking to people who weren't able to make it, let them know that thanks to Ms. Naomi and Mr. W back there, thank you, you two. We were here late last night trying to get this set up to film, but it will be on our YouTube channel, so you can go on and watch again and encourage other parents who weren't able to make it to do so as well. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming. We want to give you a little.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. You're so welcome. Oh, good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Oh,
You were wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.